Welcome. In this video, we are going to learn how to install the Aident Markers application on an Axis camera. Later on, we will see how to install the Aident Markers client application on a Windows machine and how to configure everything to receive MQTT messages from the Axis camera that is running the Markers application. The first step will be to download and install the Markers application on the Axis camera. First, we will visit the Aident Downloads page. Here we will find the Aident Markers application. Please select the correct button according to your camera. The Aident Markers application can run on any Axis camera that is not multi-sensor. We require the system on chip version to be RPEG 6, 7, 8 or 9. Please select the correct button for your download. In this case, we will install on an RPEG 8 camera. So we will select the RPEG 8 application and we will download the application to our computer. It will be downloaded in the form of a zip file. Once the application has been downloaded to our computer, we will extract the application by right-clicking and pressing Extract All. After the application has been extracted, we will have the file in the form of an EAP file on our computer. At this point, we will go to our camera, the Applications area, select Add App. We will choose the application that we just downloaded and click Install. The application requires a license. Please contact Aident support for your trial license, or if you have purchased it, for your permanent license. The license will be emailed to you and you can apply it to your camera after it has been emailed to you. So in our case, we have Aident Markers version 3.2.0 and we will apply the license by clicking Activate License with a key. And we will apply the license to our camera. After the license has been activated, we can turn on the application. After the first install, it is better to wait a minute until everything is correctly parsed by the camera installer, and then we can launch the application and configure the markers that we wish to send through MQTT. We will press Accept EULA and we're ready to go. After installing the application, we will configure it to send MQTT events when different markers are recognized. In order to create the markers, we will press Create Markers and choose dictionary 6x6, which is the recommended dictionary. A dictionary is a group of markers. The 6x6 dictionary has up to 250 different IDs. You can create different markers with different IDs by selecting the marker ID that you wish, and then you can save this marker or print it or save it as a PDF. After creating our markers and printing them on paper, we can place them in the physical objects that we want to detect. Like, for example, here we can see two markers that have been placed on the parking spots. We will position the detection area for the markers, moving the control points. In this case, we want to recognize events coming from the hotel, so we will cover the whole hotel with the detection area. After doing this, we want to make sure that our MQTT events are configured, and we do it like this. We will first go to the MQTT event of the camera which is under System MQTT. The first thing that we need to do is to configure the IP address of the host. So wherever your MQTT broker is running, that IP address has to be entered here. Please refer to the user guide of the Markers client application to get a MQTT broker. If you happen not to have one, you can download one and install it on your computer, and then put the address of that MQTT broker here. The rest of the values stay the same. Make sure that you are connected. In order to make our application send the MQTT events to the outside world, we need to add a condition, and the condition will be ADANT markers data. ADANT markers data. Okay? The rest of the values stay the same. Here is how my condition looks like. ADANT markers data, and the rest of the values we just use the default. After doing this, whenever the situation of the markers changes, an MQTT event will be sent from the camera to the MQTT broker for it to be consumed by the different clients. The next step will be to install the ADANT Markers client application on our Windows computer. We will download the application in the form of a zip file from our website in the ADANT Applications section. After downloading and extracting the zip file, we will find setup.exe. Running setup.exe will initiate the installer. Just follow the instructions on the installer to install the application on your computer. This will end up creating 2 shortcuts on your desktop. Wherever you have installed it, it will point to this location, and you can run the applications using these shortcuts or finding them in program files. Let's use now the Markers client configuration tool to create a new project. We launch the application and we're ready to start a new project. We go to File, New Project. Give it a name that you like. In our case, we will call it Hotel Billy. Billy is the name of my camera that I'm using for this project. We save. The most important thing is to define where we want to save our data. Remember that this tool is responsible for organizing the listening and saving of MQTT data. So the first thing that we need to do is to tell the project where we want to save that data. The data is saved in a JSON format, and the place that it's saved is here, MQTT data file. So let's decide that we're going to save our data. In my case, it's going to be under data. The name of my file will be data1, and the format is JSON. Save. Now that we know where we want to save our file, we will also place the IP address of the broker in the MQTT broker IP edit box, and the ports as well. After doing all this, we press save, and now we have a project. Now, we want to add cameras. So we can add as many cameras as we want. For the sake of this video, we're going to add the camera Billy. So we press add. We give our camera a name. It can be any name. It's something that you choose for convenience only. We enter the IP address. And the UID and password. Okay, now we have the camera added. and we can see it here in the camera list. Let's save. Now, one thing that we can do at this point, now that the camera is already in the system, is to verify that the markers application is running on the camera. So let's press collect marker status. We can see here response from camera Billy running. This is important because if the markers application is not running on the camera, we cannot use the client to receive MQTT events from that camera. So now we're running. The next step that we can do now is to start the MQTT listener. Since we have told the system already where the broker is, we can start the listener. The listener is a background application that needs to stay running all the time because this will listen to the events and save them into the data file. So let's press start MQTT listener. It starts this, and then we can just minimize and forget about it until the time comes that we don't want this anymore. Very good. Let's press save. Now at this point we are all good. The MQTT data file is ready to receive events. We could press here open MQTT data and clear MQTT data if needed. At this point we don't have anything written in the folder, so there's not much point. After we saved everything, we are ready to go to the dashboard. Now the dashboard is not a must-have. You don't have to use it. You can just save the information into your MQTT data and leave it there. You can use a different type of dashboard or any other tool that you might like to parse MQTT messages. But if you want to use our dashboard and use our visualizations, you can use our dashboard. At this point, we want to invoke the dashboard. The dashboard is used to visualize the data. It has two different visualizations that we will see. In order to invoke it, we can either invoke it in context by pressing this button, or we can invoke it directly from the shortcut that we have on our desktop, Markers Dashboard, and then open the projects file from inside the dashboard. So let's launch it in context. In context means that when it launches, it already has the project open. So our project is Hotel Billy. We launch the dashboard. You can see that we're already in context. It's Hotel Billy. Now, the time has come for us to add data events. A data event is a piece of information that we wish to monitor in our dashboard. A data event has a name. It's associated with a camera and has a payload, which can be a numeric value or contain a numeric value. It is represented by a color of your choice. So let's add a new data event. Now, I want to monitor the doors in my hotel. I know that the markers on my doors are marker 1 and 2. So I'm going to call my first data event door 1 open. It will come from camera Billy, as I have only one camera, and my payload will contain the number 1. Usually it will be contain and not is, because if you have a few numbers coming through the MQTT message, let's say you have numbers 1, 2, and 3, you want to recognize that the 1 is there, so you say contains. If you want a specific message like markers 1, 2, 5, you can use the is condition here. But for most cases, it's going to be contains. So contains 1, and let's say that the color that we want to use to monitor our door is some shade of orange. We press OK, and now we have the data event, which will trigger when the message coming from Billy contains the payload 1. I also want to monitor my second door. I hope you can see my doors here. Here, I want to monitor my second door as well. So I'm going to take the first event, and now to make my life easy, instead of pressing add, I'm going to press clone, and we're going to say door number 2. Contains the number 2. Let's use a different shade of orange and press OK. Now I have two doors that will send an event when they are open. An important aspect of MQTT messaging is that they are not stateful. They don't have an on and off. They don't have that. So in order to mimic statefulness, in order to mimic on and off, we will add another event, which is the empty event. So we don't see any marker, that's like off. So let's add it. I'm gonna add the empty event. So when I get an empty event from Billy, which means is nothing, so when Billy sends an event that is empty, and I'm gonna mark it black because it's empty, that will be my next event. These events are a little bit different from the aspect that we don't have to show them. In the visualizations, you can always exclude the data events with empty payloads. We will see this a little bit later. Let us save the project. Now we are monitoring 3 possible events. Okay. The next step will be to send the events. Let me just check my data file to make sure that it's really empty. I will go to data, open data file. It's not empty. Let me clear it so we have a clear data file before we start. Clear data file. Remember that if you clear your data file, there's no going back. Okay, so now my data file should be empty. It's empty. There's no events in there. Let's see if we can get an event. So we have 2 types of visualizations, a plot and a timeline. We're going to start with the plot, so let's see how the plot looks like. Let's open a door. The door opened, and now we can refresh, pressing either view refresh plot or F5. There is a way to automate this. We'll see it soon, but for now we'll do it manually. I press F5. I can see that there are 3 possible events. The door 1 open, door 2 open, or empty. Since we only just opened the door, only this one shows up. You can see here in the column header, you can see the exact time of this event. If you hover over the column header, you can see more details about the event, the timestamp, the name of the camera, and the payload. And now let's go and close our door like this. So now there's another event coming, which is the no event. I go view, refresh plot. I can see that the empty has come. Let's do the same thing with the second door. I can open the second door, refresh, and now I can see that the second door has been opened. I can close the door, refresh. I can see the second door was closed. And now let's try to animate this. Auto refresh every 1 second. So now it's auto refreshing. Let's open the door. This came by. Close the door. Close the door. Okay? All right, so we have now a monitor on the doors. Now, this is our plot, and the plot shows us all the events. You can define what you want to see in your headers. For example, you might not want to see the seconds. You might want to see only the date or the time. Additionally, you can control here the title, Aidan Marcus Dashboard. You can put a title here. You can control the size of the title. You can control for the title the color, and many other UI options, as you can see here. However, the plot is not the only visualization that we have. We also have a timeline. And our timeline contains the time frame of an hour, a day, a week, a month, or a year. So if you want to see the events by time, you can also select the timeline, or you can choose to see both of them at the same time, to see just the plot of which events you had, and here below you can see at what time this happens. All right, so what else can we add here for our hotel? Maybe we want to know if there is a silent alarm going on. So let's imagine that moving this vase, the receptionist can trigger a silent alarm. The number of the marker here is number 3. So we're gonna say silent alarm. We're gonna make a new one, add silent alarm. And it will contain the cipher 3. Now let's do it red because it's an alarm. You see that it's already appearing here because we had it a little bit earlier. Another one that we can do is maybe someone is stealing our painting. So here we have a nice painting and someone might be stealing it. So that is now marker number 4. So let's do marker number 4, clone painting missing. And we can do camera ability contains marker number 4. And let's do the painting missing will be a different shade of red. What else? We want to know if our pool level is too low. So if the pool level goes too low, the markers will become visible. You can also monitor the exact height, but for the sake of this demo, we're just gonna do this one. You can see if you look here that this is marker number 8. So what we need to do is configure marker number 8 to trigger. So let's do this one, clone, pool level low. Contains marker number 8. The pool might be blue. And also we want to know if the live preserver has been deployed. The live preserver is marker number 5. So let's go with 5. Clone live preserver deployed. That's marker number 5. And we can add something for the parking spot as well. Let's say parking 1 is free to park. So park 1 available. Which number is this one? 9. This is 9 and this is 10. Yeah, so 9 and 10. Available 9. So different color. And let's clone this one. Parking 2 available. Okay. So if we configure all of this correctly, now let's see, auto refresh every second. Let's exclude data events with empty payloads. This is important to remember that you can do this. You can exclude the data event with empty payloads if you want to minimize the number of rows that you have. You can not show the ones that are black. And that way you will have a nice, elegant way to do statefulness without seeing the empty events. Let's remove this so we have a nicer dashboard. And now we can monitor our hotel. So it's refreshing every 1 second. So let's say now that this became available. So now we have a new event coming in, that parking 1 became available. So our user just needs to look at the last row here, and he knows more or less what's going on or what are the last things that have happened. For example, we open door number 2, and then we open row number 1. Here we have it a little bit nicer. So this is a nice way for us to monitor our hotel. You can always know what's going on in your hotel. You can go back in time by pressing these buttons and see what happened earlier. You can open older data files if you wish. And generally speaking, this is most of the functionality. For more information, you can go to the help, go to the user guide. Everything that we have discussed and much more is to be found in the user guide. And this concludes our introduction to Aident Hotel using MQTT Marcus Client application.